Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, Alicia Malone with Scott, Movie Mantz, and the Schmoes Know. This is Profiles, in-depth spotlights on the greatest filmmakers and artists in motion picture history.
Hello, Profilers! Well, look who is back from Bentonville and Cannes and the moon. She's been everywhere. Alicia Malone is back, and just in time to discuss a filmmaker who really did have us at hello, a filmmaker who completes us because the human head weighs 8 pounds, Cameron Crowe.
Yes.
So excited because we're doing this just in time for the release of his new movie, Aloha, with Bradley Cooper and Emma Stone and Bill Murray. Interesting cast there. But it just makes you think just about how much we love Cameron Crowe's movies. But what is it about Cameron Crowe's movies that you love so much?
Well, I think I love him even more as a writer than as a visual director, but he's created some memorable moments in film, a lot of quotable lines, which you said a couple before, and then some iconic shots as well, like the boombox from Say Anything. And of course, he's known for his use of music in movies. His soundtracks are always the best.
Soundtracks are the best, but really, I know that we always discuss this when we talk about the great directors, but his movies are second to none in terms of when it comes to characters with deep feeling and genuine emotion. And there's so much heart to his movies. And like you said, I agree with you. I think that his dialogue is so great. And, you know, you're rewatching all these movies that we had to watch for the show, and you're just going like, wow, where does he come up with this stuff?
I know, and he had this whole career before he even started in movies, being a rock journalist when he was a teenager. He's a really interesting guy, and I learned so much about him doing the research for this Profiles. And I love how his films have these characters who are usually trying to overcome great obstacles, and then they have these great characters that you just want to hang out with.
Well, a lot of his characters, they sort of fall down and have to pick themselves back up again. I mean, obviously Jerry Maguire, but even Elizabethtown, I know that happens in Aloha to Bradley Cooper's character. But there's something about rooting for the underdog and about watching people earn their way back after they've fallen. But again, another thing I noticed is that he really takes his time between movies. We Bought a Zoo came out in 2011, and then Elizabethtown, 2005. The shortest break he ever had between movies was between Almost Famous in 2000 and Vanilla Sky in 2001. But yeah, like what an interesting career that he went from being a rock journalist for all these magazines, including Rolling Stone, at 15 years old.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean, obviously all that was documented in Almost Famous, but then he became an Oscar-winning filmmaker.
I know, it's incredible because you think he would go more into the music side of things, but his writing, I guess, always shines through. So let's learn a little bit more about him in our segment called It's a Wonderful Life. Roll the video.
Cameron Bruce Crowe was born on July 13, 1957 in Palm Springs, California. Soon after his family relocated to San Diego, Crowe started writing music reviews and articles for national rock magazines like Cream and Circus. He hit the big time in the early 70s when at the age of 15 he became the youngest ever contributor to Rolling Stone magazine, where he interviewed rock music titans like Bob Dylan, David Bowie, the Eagles, and Led Zeppelin. His first crack at the film business came in 1982 when the book he wrote while posing as an undercover student was turned into the hit film Fast Times at Ridgemont High. 7 years later, he made his directorial debut with Say Anything, which was soon followed by singles, Jerry Maguire, and Almost Famous, the latter of which he won an Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. I am a golden god!
You are a golden god.
I'm on drugs! Can I just say, profilers, how great it is to have Alicia back in the driver's seat. I mean,
I was like, how do I do this again?
That deserves a high five.
Yeah.
She's back. Yes.
And I'm watching all the comments, people talking about their favorite Cameron Crowe movies. And full disclosure, I never actually realized that he wrote Fast Times at Ridgemont High before I did this episode. And I have never seen that movie.
Oh my
I know.
God.
Even though I know the iconic scenes like the red swimsuit, you know, Phoebe Cates and all that
Cates
stuff.
and wait, you forgot Spicoli?
Yes, Spicoli.
That is
I've never actually watched it.
Perfect segue, Alicia, into our First Blood.
Was that your First Blood?
My First Blood was Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
Like you said, a movie he didn't direct, but he wrote the book, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It came out in 1981. He wrote this book while posing as an undercover student. So the following year, in 1982, the movie was directed by Amy Heckerling, who did Clueless.
Yep.
And listen, I was 13 years old when I saw this movie, a freshman in high school, and this movie comes out and it just hits the nail on the head. There are so many iconic moments. Yes, the Phoebe Cates bathing suit is one of them.
When you're 13, you're
When
like,
you're 13,
"Woo."
like, woohoo!
Wow.
But also, Spicoli, Sean Penn, and I had no idea that was nothing like who this guy really was, because Spicoli is such a great character. Hey, bud, let's party. I mean, you know the lines.
I do. I feel like I've seen it, even though I haven't seen the whole thing.
Well, what is your First Blood for Cameron Crowe?
My First Blood would have been Say Anything. I remember seeing that in the 90s. I had heard a lot about the boombox moment before I actually saw the film, and I loved that movie, and I still love it, rewatching it again over the weekend. But the first movie that I actually realized who Cameron Crowe wasn't until Almost Famous. And then, and that was when I was like, oh my gosh, it's the guy that has I think because he doesn't have such a distinct visual style between all his movies, you can't tell his movies just by looking at them. It's when you dig deeper, into the dialogue and the music. So I think Almost Famous was the first time that I realized who he was and then connected all the dots. But Say Anything would have been the first one.
So when you saw Say Anything, did you watch it at the cinema?
No.
Or on VHS?
On VHS with friends.
Well, okay.
Probably during a sleepover or something.
I was going to save this for our last detail. Okay. But since you saw it on VHS, I'm sure, maybe you remember, maybe you don't, you probably saw a short film, an early short film of The Simpsons on that VHS.
No, I don't remember.
On Australian VHS copies of the movie, because James Brooks created The Simpsons. Yeah. And he produced Say Anything. He put an early Simpsons cartoon on VHS copies in Australia.
I didn't know that.
For Say Anything.
It's like a little lead in.
Yeah, right?
How funny.
How funny is that? And meanwhile, Simpsons has been on ever since.
Yeah. Yes, it's done very well.
But yeah, I mean, you know, with Fast Times and then Say Anything, I mean, his movies they're just full of so much feeling. And Say Anything, we'll get to that.
Well, let's get into our Fast Five. At number 5 is...
The little things. There's nothing bigger, is there?
Nothing bigger than the little things.
Nothing bigger than Vanilla Sky.
Vanilla Sky. This is an interesting one.
An interesting movie. Okay, released December 14th, 2001.
Yep.
1 Oscar nomination. Best Original Song, Vanilla Sky. Who is it? Say it. Say it.
What?
Paul McCartney.
Oh, I didn't even know that. There you go.
Come on, give it up for Paul McCartney.
You have to bring in the Beatles somehow.
Absolutely. And that's the first of many times during this broadcast we're going to talk about the Beatles. No, I'm just joking. This is a remake of the 1997 movie Abre los Ojos, directed by Alejandro Amenabar. Means Open Your Eyes. Penelope Cruz played the same character in both films, and she was better in the original because she was speaking her native language. Yep. I thought her performance stumbled a little bit, but I still like this movie a lot. Yeah. Vanilla Sky is a love it or hate it movie. Where do you stand?
More on the hate it side.
Why? Why?
And I rewatched it again going, come on, get into it, get into it. I think it just feels really uneven. I appreciate that Cameron Crowe was trying something completely different. This is a departure for him. It's surreal. It's got sci-fi and horror. It's much darker than his other films. And it's an experimentation. I like that. But for me, I think, you know, his strongest point, Cameron Crowe, usually in his movies, is his writing and his dialogue, and that's actually probably the weakest part of this movie, and it's so disjointed. It's all over the place. I'm all for surreal. I'm all for weird, dreamlike states, but it just doesn't gel properly for me.
Here's the thing about Vanilla Sky that did it for me. Yes, you're right. I agree with you. It is uneven. It is far out, especially at the end. There's so much exposition when
you have to explain everything.
You have to explain everything. But if you go with it, then there's really something there. You have to go with this movie, and I really did.
I guess I just didn't even buy the love between, with Sophia. Like, I didn't buy that love story that was enough to destroy him.
But there were so many things.
He was such a ladies' man, and he got in the car so easily.
And, well, right. He definitely did. And Cameron Diaz was great in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, she was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah, she was good as the crazy.
For playing the psycho bitch from hell.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise plays an unlikable character. He's so vain, so full of himself, more than a lot of the other characters he's played, like in Top Gun or even Jerry Maguire for a little bit. But to see him, like, totally stripped, literally, of his looks, and it's such a soul-bearing, gut-wrenching performance, it was really, really hard to watch.
Yeah.
But that's what gave the movie a lot of its power. I actually thought the movie was very profound. It is definitely the most challenging film and ambitious film that Cameron Crowe ever made. It's open to interpretation, like this whole thing with the lucid dream.
Yep.
Okay, where did the lucid dream begin? Like, some people think the whole movie is a lucid dream, like from start to finish. Some people think it's the lucid dream starts after the car accident. I think it starts after he wakes up in the street.
Yep.
Remember
later on?
Yeah, when she wakes him up, says, "Open your eyes."
Yeah, because then from then on, it does seem quite surreal. There's the Bob Dylan cover and all those. I like those little touches that Cameron Crowe brought to it, but I don't know. A lot of critics didn't like it. It was probably his first critical disappointment, and it came off the back of his most popular movie, Jerry Maguire. But it still made over $100 million. It's the second highest grossing movie from Cameron Crowe so far. And as David DeSoa says on YouTube live chat, he says, I've not seen it. I may have to fix that because I'm always intrigued by films that split an audience. Me too. I like when there's some discourse about movies. It
does split an audience. The movie cost $68 million to make, made $100 million domestically, $203 million worldwide. And it is a freaky film. I reviewed the movie back in December of 2001. I said, the sky is the limit. The themes of obsession, karma, and fate that underscored Eyes Wide Shut are featured more prominently in Vanilla Sky, while guessing what's a dream and what's reality brings to mind several surreal movies like Jacob's Ladder, Lost Highway, and even Total Recall. Depending on what mood you were in, Alicia Malone, Vanilla Sky is either a frustrating cinematic experience or a rewarding one. It's a love it or hate it movie that will mean different things to different people, but just sit back, relax, put your mind to it, and open your eyes.
Open your eyes. And let's see what our profiles have to say about Vanilla Sky.
No love for Vanilla Sky.
Yeah.
Another interesting Beatle fact, Tom Cruise's character in the movie David Ames, he lived in the Dakota, which is where John Lennon lived.
Oh, there you go.
So is
it going to be a fact about every...
Oh, well, one more Beatle fact. One more Beatle fact is that when describing the interpretation of the movie, how, different people are seeing different things in it, he likened it, Cameron Crowe likened it to the Paul is Dead hoax back in 1969.
Right.
When people thought Paul McCartney was really dead. I love that he brought it back to the Beatles. Definitely.
It's your jam.
But you got to admit, the scene in Times Square in the beginning of the film.
Oh, yeah, it's freaky.
That was cool.
That's freaky to see no people at all
in Times Square.
And I like how there was it 12 Angry Men that was playing on the big screen,
and so was an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah, and then Sabrina at the start, the original.
They shot that scene on Sunday, November 12th, 2000, and they had 6 hours to get their shot, and they did. I listen, I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and I was wondering, because I know I cut it some slack because I like Tom Cruise, and I was wondering how it would hold up, 13 years later. And I was like, whoa, this movie is really far out. There you go.
Well, it did that one of those scenes make your right stuff?
One of those scenes did not make my right stuff, but what made yours?
Mine sounds obvious, but I just love it, and it makes me smile every single time I see it. It is the Tiny Dancer moment from Almost Famous. I love how this song changes the mood of the movie because it starts out, they're on the bus, they're sitting in silence, they've had big fights, you think the band might break up, and then they all start singing along to Elton John's Tiny Dancer. And William is on the bus and he is an outsider. He's kind of wondering what is going on with these crazy people.
Yeah.
And then Penny Lane has that great line of like, you are home.
You are home.
And then you see him start to relax and realize that he's meant to be there. And that all happens in the space of that song. And that's just a great musical moment.
It is.
I love it.
Definitely. Hold me closer, Tiny Dancer.
Not Tony Dancer.
Not Tony Dancer. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
What was yours?
Mine was from Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
The scene after Tom Cruise gets fired. After
and he's freaking out?
After the whole show me the money thing.
Oh.
Yes, the scene where he's, he walks out with his box of his belongings.
Who's coming with me?
And yes, that's the scene, right? And he's like, don't worry. I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do, which is flip out.
Yeah.
I love seeing Tom Cruise flip out.
I know, it's great.
But just that moment of vulnerability where he's like, who's coming with me? Besides Flipper here. And then Renee Zellweger gets up and she goes, I will go with you. And he goes, Dorothy Boyd. And he's like so excited finally. And he just walks out. And then everybody goes back to doing their job.
Yeah, I like how there's silence and then it all just resumes.
All
Everyone's
resumes.
like, oh, whatever.
Absolutely. Well, I already told you one cool detail, one cool bit of trivia.
Yep.
Which was very cool that you didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, there's so many great Cameron Crowe bits of trivia that I discovered, but one that I really liked, and you'll be able to guess why, is because I found out that Cameron Crowe and Billy Wilder were good friends.
Oh, he wrote a book about
the director.
Billy Wilder.
Yeah, so in 1999 he wrote Conversations with Wilder, and then the two became great friends. One of Cameron's sons is named Billy after him.
Oh, wow,
and they
cool.
remained close until Billy Wilder's death.
Well, did you know that, speaking of Vanilla Sky, it came out 3 months after 9/11. And the end of the film, when he's on the roof of that building, you see the Twin Towers behind him. So the studio wanted to remove the shots of the Twin Towers. Cameron Crowe said no, he didn't want to do that because some other movies that were coming out at that time did. Like Zoolander had a shot of the Twin Towers, and that was removed. But Cameron Crowe left it in. And I thought that was actually a good move because obviously 9/11 was just so fresh on everybody's mind. And, when you get to the end of that film where he's, over explaining everything, but there's so much thoughtfulness to the scene and you're in a dream. So this is the New York that David Ames, Tom Cruise's character, was dreaming about.
With the Vanilla Sky.
With the Vanilla Sky.
From
exactly.
Monet.
Yes.
Well, did you know that in Almost Famous, Penny Lane, when she asks William whether he wants to go to Morocco with her, and he says yes, and then she's like, are you sure? And he said, yeah, ask me again. Apparently that was Patrick Fugit just asking for the line again because he didn't think he delivered his yes properly, but Cameron Crowe liked that moment, so he kept it in.
Oh, that's very cool.
Moment.
That is very cool.
Ask me again.
Ask me again. Well, speaking of Almost Famous, the original title for that movie
Untitled.
Was Untitled.
I know that one.
Yes, very good. That gets a high five. DreamWorks is like, nope. But when the special edition DVD came out, the special edition DVD was called Untitled, Almost Famous.
And it's got extra footage. I've never seen that cut of it. Apparently it's even better than the original.
Oh.
Because extra stuff.
That was not the version that I watched.
No.
Darn. So we'll watch that and you'll watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yes.
Well, one more bit of trivia. Did you know, at least Cameron Crowe is claiming that Singles was the inspiration.
For Friends.
For Friends!
Yes.
You are on fire with this trivia, Alicia
I know,
Malone.
and that leads us nicely into our Fast Five number 4, which is...
Bless you.
Singles.
Bless you. Singles. September 18th, 1992. Cost $9 million to make. Box office, $18.5 million domestic. Talk about a movie that captured a moment in time. This was the Seattle grunge scene of 1992. Interestingly, the movie was finished in early of 1991.
And they held it.
They held it.
Because it really did capture that moment, and that was when Nirvana was going into mainstream, so the grunge culture, Seattle music scene was really hot. So Warner Brothers were like, we'll wait and then release the film later on. But I think they released it just a little too late
Yeah, they did.
Because it didn't do so well at the box office, but the soundtrack was a
Soundtrack is great.
bestseller 3 months before the movie came out.
Well, the soundtrack had Pearl Jam, Soundgarden,
Yeah.
Alice in Chains, what's his name from The Replacements?
I have no idea.
Peter, what's his name? Somebody on Twitter
Yeah.
or YouTube. Paul Westerfield. I don't know. Whatever his
not
name
good
is.
with my music.
Not good with that right now. But so the timing was perfect, and just like Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like came out like just at the right time. For me, for my generation. So did Singles. I was 23. I just moved to LA the year before, living in an apartment with a bunch of other single people, and I was like, oh wow, this is it. This is what life is like. We're all just like working bum jobs, just trying to make a living and trying to like meet the one.
Yeah,
which
love
are 23.
is complicated.
Love is complicated.
I know. Even rewatching it now, I'm like, oh, I can relate to certain aspects of it, even though it does feel like a time capsule of that early '90s moment. It's a very '90s movie.
Yeah.
And it feels a bit like a sitcom. So it's interesting that it was kind of an inspiration for Friends. They wanted to turn Singles into a TV show, and Cameron Crowe said no. So then that project morphed, and then it became Friends. It feels like different episodes, and some storylines are stronger than the others.
Definitely.
But I love all the cameos. So it's got Pearl Jam members before they were famous.
Right.
And then, did you notice Tim Burton?
I did notice Tim Burton. Did you notice Paul Giamatti?
Yeah, Paul Giamatti's making out in the restaurant.
He's making out, and he's one line in the film. What?
Yeah. What?
Yeah, he's like making out and looks up and he says, "What?
What?"
Paul Giamatti. And I just seen San Andreas and Love and Mercy, both of which Paul Giamatti. I'm like, oh my God, that's Paul Giamatti. But Entertainment Weekly said in their review back in 1992, with an ambling, naturalistic style, Cameron Crowe captures the eccentric appeal of a town where espresso carts sprout on every corner, and kids in ratty flannel shirts can cut records that make them millionaires.
Well, Mike Leamy on YouTube says Paul Westerberg.
Paul Westerberg, thank you.
That's the name.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. But I like this movie a lot. It's a sweet movie.
Yeah.
It's pleasant. It's fine. It's entertaining to watch. I don't think it's strong as some of his other movies. I actually like Vanilla Sky more than this film, but because of the love it or hate it aspect, I put Singles ahead of it, Yeah. Because I had a feeling you would like Singles more.
Good choice. Well, Rachel Cushing wrote in about Singles. She says, Cameron Crowe's 1992 film is one of those generation-defining films that is all about character and voice. His genius, aside from his sublime and memorable dialogue, is that the film is both of its time and timeless. Crowe imbues all of his characters with real-world quirks and struggles that are conveyed in a rambling, inner monologues and direct conversations with the camera. Yeah, they break the fourth wall, i.e. the audience. His sense of romantic idealism is never lost, but I truly relate to the doubts, dreams, insecurities, expectations, and screw-ups of Linda, Steve, Janet, Debbie, and Cliff. All these characters have a point of view that transcends the film and speaks to anyone looking for their Miss or Mr. Right, rather than their Miss or Mr. Maybe.
Rachel Cushing, killing it with the reviews.
Good.
She's so talented.
She's always really good.
Always really good. Well, we should take this moment to take care of some business here. Okay, if you are watching or listening to Profiles right now, please do us a huge, huge, huge favor. Go to iTunes and subscribe to Profiles. And more importantly, rate and review us on Profiles. We need these ratings and reviews to survive. They are really what sustain us. So please rate us, review us, tell us what you really think, especially if it's good. Please go to iTunes and then go to youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network.
You got it.
And subscribe.
Yeah, we're really
Finally.
trying to get this show out there because we work so hard on it. We think it's a great show. It deserves more views and more love, so we're figuring out how to do that. But make sure you tell all your friends about it. Share the YouTube link, or if you prefer to listen to us, then make sure you share the iTunes. You can also keep up with us on our Facebook page, Profiles with Malone and Mantz. We do a lot of fun brackets and some trivia on there, and occasionally we do Q&As, so it's a great community.
And whenever, we just read a comment from Rachel Cushing about Singles, those comments come from our Facebook page.
Yeah.
So whenever we announce who our next filmmaker is going to be, we want profilers, people who like our Facebook page, to chime in and tell us what they like the most about these movies.
So we pick those and then we read them out.
Well, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Alicia Malone, at Movie Mantz, at Alicia Malone, at Movie Mantz. One more time, at Alicia Malone, at Movie Mantz. And again, just like Alicia said, please share profiles with everyone. We really want to get the word out there. We really believe in our show.
Yes.
And we know you love it too. And we just want to keep this going. We do work hard on it, but it's a labor of love. So please help us spread the word about Profiles. And go to our Facebook page, Profiles with Malone and Mantz.
We do
Moving
it for
on.
free in our spare time because we're that crazy about
We love
movies.
it that much. We love it that much.
All right, well, that brings us to Quiz Show, which is a segment that I don't like so much.
Okay,
so,
this is time for Quiz Show. You hit me up.
Okay, well, this one I think will be like a bit of a guess for you, but it was the only thing I could come up with. So before Bradley Cooper and Emma Stone were cast in Aloha, there was supposed to be 2 other actors older than those 2. Who do you think that was supposed to be? It's a bit of a guess. Was it A?
Okay,
I'm giving you options. Not that hard. A, James Franco and Kate Hudson. B, Seth Rogen, Elizabeth Banks. Or C, Ben Stiller and Reese Witherspoon. Who do you think? Just a guess.
Ben Stiller and Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah!
Yes, whoa, way to
Supposed
go.
to be those 2, but it took a while to do so, and they decided to cast younger and go with Bradley and Emma. Okay, hit me with
Okay,
it.
I'm hitting you up with one. In Almost Famous.
Yep.
This is the ultimate Band-Aid right here, Alicia Malone. In Almost Famous. I don't know. In
Band-Aid
Almost
for
Famous.
movies. Yeah.
What is Penny Lane's real name?
Oh.
Is it A, Emily? Is it B, Lady? Is it C, Jennifer? Is it D, Susan?
Lady.
Lady it is!
Yay!
Way to go!
Because then they were calling her Emily the Doctor, right?
Right.
The fake name.
Right, Emily, yeah, because I was like, oh, her name's Emily. And then she goes, no, it's Lady.
It's Lady.
It's
Yes.
Lady. Wow, we
I
both
remember.
got it. Yes!
Yay!
We're on fire with our quiz show.
Well, you know what? That's a good little warm-up for the Ultimate Schmodown that's coming soon.
Oh, sheesh, yes.
We've got
Team
team
profiles. We are going to kill it,
We're gonna kill
especially
it if
after,
there's
for the
release
third
dates.
time she wins Screen Junkies movie fights.
Yeah, I'm better at debating than coming up with trivia, but
That's okay.
Together,
you and me.
we're gonna beat him.
And here's what's going to happen.
We're gonna think of a great entrance.
We're going to have
It's gonna be fantastic.
a great entrance, and they're going to give us one of the categories will be movie release dates.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Oh my God.
I
If
reckon
that
they're not even
happens-
going to put it in there just because they know that no one can beat you.
Oh, come on.
But you're good with trivia, so I wouldn't do the Schmodown again if it was just by myself, because last time was a horrible experience.
We got
but
this.
We got this.
We got this. We're
We
going to kill it.
got this.
We got this down on the Schmodown.
Yeah.
But coming in at number 3 in our Fast 5 is...
Give me a pen. Give her my heart and she gave me a pen.
I gave her my heart. She
Gave me a
pen.
pen.
Say Anything. Released April 14th, 1989. Cameron Crowe's directorial debut after Lawrence Kasdan was going to direct and dropped out. Another great teen comedy after Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Intimate, heartfelt, mature. It's an insightful movie. It is a genuine film because you just really believe these characters. They're fully realized. I mean, the depiction of a love that is so strong that it
First love.
hurts.
Yeah.
It's so many great moments in this movie.
Yeah, I think it's really underrated. It's probably one of the best high school romantic movies out there because it doesn't go where you think it will.
Right.
You think you know these characters, that they're stereotypes and that you know how it's going to end, but you don't.
You don't.
You don't know. It takes turns, and I love both of these characters. John Cusack, he's always so great at just adding something unexpected to his characters. And Lloyd Dobler, I mean, you just feel for him. He's so lovable. He's optimistic. I love his attitude. I love his relationship with his sister, played by his real life sister, Joan Cusack. And then Ione Skye, who for some reason didn't become a huge star after this, which she should have.
She should have.
She's plays this great, smart girl and socially awkward, loves her dad. She's really sweet too.
And John Mahoney, who
This
plays
has so
her
much
father,
heart, this movie.
It definitely does. It also, like you said, it goes places where you don't expect it to go. Never would have expected that twist with her father to turn out the way it did. Not revealing anything. But it gives the film a lot of depth. It makes it a little bit dark, because everything is not okay. I mean, it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it still has a very, very apropos ending.
Yeah.
I love the ending. And I love Lily Taylor. You know, she sang 65 songs about Joe. Joe lies.
And I like how Joe comes in and he's just like, I love you.
Hey, I love you.
He seems like an idiot. Joe. Well, I was reading that after Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Crowe wrote The Wildlife, which was supposed to be a semi-sequel to it.
Right.
And that's what James L. Brooks saw or read or heard about, and he found out who Cameron Crowe was and then decided to executive produce this film, which gave him his first directorial debut. And I know we love Ebert quotes. I'm probably going to steal this from you.
Take it away.
But Roger Ebert said that this is a film that's really about something that cares deeply about the issues it contains. You've got it written down too, yep. And yet also works wonderfully as a funny, warm-hearted romantic comedy. That's right, it's funny. There's some really funny moments.
There are some funny moments, and there's one truly iconic moment with the boombox.
The boombox.
And that's
been copied
Lloyd Dobler,
over and over again.
And it will be again today.
Yeah, we're going to do a photo like that.
We're going to do a photo like that. But when he's holding up the boombox and it's playing In Your Eyes, the song that they made love to for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, that is like the equivalent of standing outside the window of a woman just saying, you know, I love you. I mean, it was so unique and so wonderful. And whenever I hear In Your Eyes, that's what I think about.
And I was saying before, instead of the boombox now, it would just be like someone holding up an iPhone.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Can you hear it? Do you want me to turn it up?
Yeah, right. They'd be holding up their iPhone. But interestingly, Robert Downey Jr. turned down the role of Lloyd Dobler. Christian Slater also auditioned and also considered for the role of Diane, Elizabeth Shue, and keeping in mind this was 1989, Julia Roberts.
Well, Tyler Myers on YouTube live chat says, John Cusack and Ione Skye have such amazing chemistry. Not only one of the best teen movies ever made, but one of the best romance movies ever made.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And I just love the end.
Yes.
I mean, here's this guy, Lloyd Dobler. He just wants to take care of
I know,
this girl.
He's so sweet.
He's so sweet. And Christian Lautens says, Say Anything is my favorite Cameron Crowe movie and one of my favorite romantic comedies. It's one of the few coming-of-age movies with real characters, real dialogue, and a real relationship. All that credit goes to Crowe's impeccable writing and directing. Say Anything demonstrates Crowe's ability to write hilarious dialogue while balancing heartfelt moments between Lloyd, Diane, and James. The movie is completely honest, straightforward, and doesn't dumb down the story for its audience. It perfectly portrays the emotion and energy of a young relationship.
Well, Joshua Price, who's watching live right now.
Yay, Josh.
He says, Say Anything perfectly demonstrates Cameron Crowe's brilliance as a writer and director by showing his genuine care and passion for the human emotions involved. It depends on these qualities to not only embody the free spirit of youth, but to reflect upon the future and what is to come for the wide-eyed hopefuls. The heartwarming moments are only made sweeter by its decision to never stray from reality, and as a result, it can also demonstrate the sometimes painful intensity of youth and the honest emotional connections Crowe establishes only to make it feel more truthful. It does feel very true, very
so
true to
genuine.
like first love, awkwardness.
Absolutely,
Sweet.
absolutely. But listen, Cameron Crowe doesn't make a lot of movies.
Yeah.
But there were a few that didn't make.
Right?
Seven features.
Yeah.
So where do you stand on Elizabethtown?
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It just feels it's sentimental, and in a way that he's not usually with his movies.
Right.
So
it has its moments, but I think that's a movie that's uneven.
And I know some people out there really like it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the reviews go, it's his worst reviewed movie. But I still found stuff to like about it. I mean, you know, the Cameron Crowe magic is there and fits and starts. The biggest problem I had, honestly, Orlando Bloom. He just
I think it was miscast.
Bland.
Yeah.
You know, but then there's We Bought a Zoo, came out in 2001.
Which I didn't mind.
Yeah.
Didn't mind. I think it was marketed in a very different way to what it actually was like. When you saw the posters, you just thought it was going to be this cute kind of animal movie, but it had more emotional depth to it than that.
Matt Damon was very good in the film.
Entertaining.
And I think it's a feel-good crowd pleaser, a little sappy.
A little bit of slapstick.
Wears its heart on its sleeve a little too much. But I think the only problem I really had with We Bought a Zoo is that it didn't feel like a Cameron Crowe movie. Mm-hmm. It's a good film, but it didn't feel like, when I think of Cameron Crowe, I think of, you know, Almost Famous, John Maguire, Say Anything. There are moments, there is magic to those films that I thought this was lacking. And then there's Pearl Jam 20.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
The documentary, and to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Pearl Jam. And for a filmmaker so steeped in music, I am surprised he does not direct more documentaries about music. I mean, look at Scorsese.
Yeah.
He did The Band, the George Harrison, the Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan. I mean, this is all like Cameron Crowe's territory.
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
But how we do on the brackets this week?
Well, the brackets this week, they're run by Rasika, and they're best musical moments, which is a great category for Cameron Crowe. So it came down to In Your Eyes from Say Anything versus Everything in Its Right Place from Vanilla Sky. And then, so In Your Eyes won that bracket.
Of course.
Then it was the Free Fallin' moment from Jerry Maguire. I love that. Versus Tiny Dancer from Almost Famous. Two great moments. Almost Famous won. So it came down to In Your Eyes versus Tiny Dancer. Who do you think won?
It's got to be Tiny Dancer.
It's Tiny Dancer.
It's got to be Tiny Dancer.
I agree with My Right Stuff.
Although
Thanks,
In
Brett
Your
Eyes.
In Your Eyes is also really, really good. That should have been like a really close call.
I think it was.
Because both of those moments are just so great. Although Tom Cruise singing Free Falling. Because I'm free.
I know. I love that moment.
Falling.
Sometimes I put that on in my car and I sing that as I'm driving.
You sing it like Tom Cruise sings it. Yes, absolutely.
It feels so empowering.
Well, speaking of Tom Cruise, coming in at number 2 in our Fast Five.
Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me? Who's coming with me?
I just
Besides
had to add the
Flipper here.
I had to add the at the end because I love that. Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire came out December 13th, 1996. Thank you for not using Show Me the Money. 5 Oscar nominations, 1 win for supporting actor Cuba Gooding Jr. And what I remember about the Academy Awards that night, it was the first award given out. And Cuba Gooding Jr. was so excited.
So excited.
He was like, I love you.
I love you.
It was such a great moment in Oscar history when he won. And that was like totally something that Rod Tidwell, his character, would have done.
Yeah.
He was so in character with that movie. By far, Cameron Crowe's most successful film. It cost $50 million to make. Box office worldwide, $273.5 million. If Say Anything and Singles were intimate films, this was his breakthrough all the way and the ultimate Tom Cruise performance.
Oh yeah, we spoke about this during our Tom Cruise profiles. He obviously did such a great thing, Cameron Crowe, by matching up with such an A-list star in Tom Cruise, which then led to Cameron Crowe being an A-list director. This was the movie that definitely got him noticed by more than just a select group. And as you said, gave Tom Cruise one of his best roles. Complex roles, transformation, also Renee Zellweger, Cuba Gooding Jr. I don't think Cuba Gooding, I don't think he's been as good since Jerry Maguire. But I think a lot of people forget about Jerry Maguire, the movie, and forget how good it actually is because it's so quoted. It's so much in pop culture that you actually forget that it has more depth to it than just these great quotes. Yeah. Especially the relationship between the two of them. It's complex. It's not easy.
Nope.
It doesn't go the way that you always think it's going to go. And then it has the great line of "You had me at hello," and that seems cheesy in isolation, but it works perfectly within. And once again, this is Cameron Crowe just putting so much heart and emotion into the dialogue.
Well, like you said, I mean, there is so much great dialogue in this movie. Of course, the whole Show Me the Money scene, the human head weighs 8 pounds. This movie was written for Tom Hanks. And Tom Hanks was supposed to play the lead role, but he was also in the middle of directing his very first movie, That Thing You Do. So he passed. But, I mean, as good as Tom Hanks would have been in that role, no one was better than Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And in the Variety review back in 1996 says, scores an unexpected number of emotional, social, and entertaining points, smartly written, boasting a sensational cast, shrewdly observed, gives Tom Cruise one of his very best roles. And this was a script that Cameron Crowe spent 3.5 years working on.
Wow.
I think he actually wrote it for an agent
Yeah,
But
like
then
a Hollywood agent.
Right, it was for a Hollywood
Right.
agent, but then he changed it to...
The sports stuff feels very real.
It definitely does.
And there's
Absolutely.
a lot of cameos in there for people who like sport, not me.
Not me either.
Tyler
I'm with you on
Myers.
that. Give it up for a sports band here, Profiles.
Well, Bamboo on YouTube says, I don't care about sports, but the business sports part was so interesting in that movie. I definitely agree. And Tyler Myers says Jerry Maguire works as both a romantic comedy, a sports film, and an uplifting drama, one of Cruise's best performances. I think people, if they haven't seen it in a long time, they should rewatch
Definitely.
the movie because it sucked me back in when I saw it again.
It is
quite
definitely
recently.
it is definitely a movie that I think holds up very, very well. It's one of my favorite movies, and Tom Cruise's relationship with Renee Zellweger, their chemistry is so great that I felt like she was one of the two best romantic leading ladies he ever had, next to Rebecca De Mornay from Risky Business. I mean, their chemistry was so right on. They were perfectly matched. And his chemistry with Cuba Gooding Jr., I mean, that was another relationship he had in the film. You know, that was all great too. And interestingly, also considered for the role of Jerry Maguire, it's like a who's who. You have Alec Baldwin, Johnny Depp, Sean Penn, Bruce Willis, and John Travolta.
Wow.
And consider for the role of Dorothy Boyd, you have Winona Ryder. In fact, she was cast in the role, but when they were doing pre-production on the film and the two of them were standing next to each other, Cameron Crowe felt like they looked like brother and sister. So she was recast, but also consider were, I know, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Patricia Arquette, Molly Ringwald, Uma Thurman, Nicole Kidman, and Jennifer Lopez. But this is I love Jerry Maguire, and so does profiler Chris Day.
Yay.
He goes, I hate The Notebook and Titanic is okay, but Jerry Maguire is the best romantic film ever. It's hilarious, and you feel the relationship between Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger. Plus, you got Cuba Gooding Jr. What's not to love about this film? Show me the money.
Show me the money. Rasika points out that hasn't been mentioned, but Jonathan Lipnicki was great in the movie as well.
Yeah, he was.
Young kid.
Human head weighs 8 pounds.
Sometimes, I mean, it's hard to find a good child actor, but he was so
he
cute.
was good. He was cute.
Well, Billy Polahan also likes Jerry Maguire, says, Jerry Maguire was the film that I least expected to like. It had Tom Cruise acting like he was on the top of the world, which he was both in the movie and in reality. But Jerry was just a down on his luck guy. He has a heart of gold. You see him overcoming many obstacles. There are so many memorable moments. Show me the money. And of course, you had me at hello. Cameron Crowe has made so many great movies and will continue to for a very long time. Hashtag film geek, hashtag profiler for life. P.S. Alicia, you had me at hello. P.P.S. Scott, Beatles for life. Hashtag Beatles for life, brother.
Way to go, Billy. Yes. Hooray!
Hooray!
Another Beatles reference. I told you they were going to be sprinkled throughout this show.
I know. Well, you had a lot of fun while I was away.
I did.
Did you enjoy it?
I did, but you know, I have to say, working on a profile show without you just made me miss you more. Alicia Malone, to quote Cameron Crowe, you rock my world.
Oh, thank
Give
you.
it up. Woo!
I was off the grid at the time, but I saw the post about the Beatles. I was like, what is happening?
Why? Yeah, you know, if Cat's away.
It was fun, though.
Beatles fans will play. And joining us right now in time for our number one movie, we are very excited to have calling into Profiles, Billy Crudup plays Russell Hammond in Almost Famous.
Yay!
Billy, thank you so much for calling into Profiles. You are on with Scott and Alicia.
Hey, guys. No, it's my pleasure. You kidding me? Any chance I get to talk about being in this movie is a good time.
Oh, well, I love this movie so much. It's my favorite to date from Cameron Crowe. I just rewatched it on the weekend. Still get sucked in every time. Why do you think it holds up so well even after 15 years, almost 15 years?
It's a really great question, one that's equally interesting to me because there's a whole generation of people who know me only from that, who probably were maybe 2 or 3 years old when it came out. And it was difficult to get a lot of people to go and see it for whatever reason when it first came out. So it's had such a big and long life since it's been released. I think it just has to do with the fact that we all have to move from adolescence to adulthood, and it kind of sucks. And there's something sweet and nostalgic about the way that Cameron tells that story and introduces, you know, all the awful complexities of being an adult, much less a successful adult. And then he does it through, the language of music, and almost everybody can relate to that as well. So he's also hilarious, and the movie is just unceasingly entertaining. And he cares so much about the performances and the nuanced performances, and his writing contributes to really some beautiful work from people in this movie. So I think it's such a great surprise that it's had the continued life that it has.
Well, how did you come to be cast as Russell Hammond? And is it true that Russell was loosely based on Glenn Frey from the Eagles?
Well, firstly, I got lucky as hell is how I got cast. Actually, Brad Pitt was supposed to do the part before in another incarnation of the movie, but when he dropped out, Cameron held a bunch of auditions, and I think I had longish hair, and that definitely helped. But I hadn't played guitar before, so he and I spent most of the time in the audition, me trying to thumb through Smoke on the Water on the E string, so he could try to see if he could fake it with me. But Cameron he's relentless about finding the people that are just right for certain parts. So he put me through the task over the course of a number of days, working different scenes to see if we were after the same thing. And like I say, I just got lucky. Sometimes you're in the right place at the right time, or somebody else who might have gotten the role has the cold and they can't come in, and I count my blessings where that goes concerned.
Well, obviously this is a very personal film for Cameron Crowe. So what was it like being there on set with him?
Well, he is amongst the most loving, charming, engaging, entertaining people to be around anyway. So that part of it is phenomenal for a creative collaboration. It's not always that charming. It's not always that charming of an experience.
Yeah.
But the sense that he had been in and recorded mentally and physically for posterity through his writing these exact sequences in a way that was eloquent, entertaining, it just permeated every single day. We would come in and there was inevitably somebody on set that day who had been there during that time, and Cameron was having them back in to do a cameo, or he was recreating the exact room that they occupied in the riot house. There were so many aspects of that that it was totally charming. I was excited to be around him as he was around his former life.
Wow.
And that he was just like a great caretaker of all of it.
Well, what kind of direction did he give, and was he open to improvisation, and how long into the filming of this movie did you all realize that you were onto something really special?
Well, he was. When you look at the screenplays, all of the nuance in the dialogue and the subtle changes in the power structures between characters as they're talking is there on the page. That's the way that he writes. That's the way that he thinks. His storytelling is going to be told most likely through dialogue and through interaction between actors, as opposed to saying cinematic devices or moving cameras or innovative shots or something. His primary focus is in conveying the complexities and interest in human behavior. So the way that he works is really patiently. He wants to find out what gets each actor going. What's your jam, Billy? How am I going to take you into your sweet spot for this? He's really invested in trying to get the best out of each person. So he takes a long time. There was one scene that we had out by a pool where I'm sort of explaining to the William character, who played by the awesome Patrick Fugit, about why I don't think he should write too much of an expose about the band. And it was a subtle point that Cameron wanted to relay about the responsibility of the bandmates to each other and how that was difficult for some and others. And he rewrote that. We reshot it at least 3 times over the course of 5 months.
Wow.
So he is so meticulous. And I absolutely loved it. I mean, in terms of improvisation, during the rehearsal process, we rehearsed for 5 weeks too, which is very rare in films. I mean, nowadays, guys, I think if I get a single day of rehearsal, it feels like a total luxury. But back then, he was like, "This is what we have to do. This is the only way to tell this story that's so important to me really well." So in addition to those rehearsals, then we would meet every night for band practice, which was phenomenal because Nancy Wilson and Peter Frampton were our rock god teachers.
Crazy, yeah.
So we got to hang out with them every night, learning how to take the stage, and you know, they were extremely patient with me as my musical skills are somewhat lacking in that area. And having not played guitar before that, I don't know if you guys play guitar, but if you remember when you started, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is.
It hurts.
Hurts like hell.
Really uncomfortable. Like to the coordination of it. So fucking. Excuse my language.
That's okay.
I hope you have a bleep button there.
That's
really
okay.
apologize.
It's the internet.
But that's how frustrating it is.
Yeah.
It drives you out of your mind. So I spent so much of my time on that movie. And of course, my job wasn't just to be a guitarist. It was to be like the great guitarist.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that I just had to kind of fake it a little bit. I had to look like I really, really, like it was in my body. That's what I knew how to do. That's the only thing I knew how to do. And that was a crazy hard task. So while the rock band rehearsals and being with Peter and Nancy was totally special, it was not an easy creative process.
Well, one moment that I love in the movie, and I know a lot of people do as well, is the Tiny Dancer scene on the bus. What are your memories of shooting that scene?
Well, that we all sang Tiny Dancer for about 4 years after that.
True.
It's impossible to get it out of your head forever. You know what's great about it being such a special thing to do and a special moment, and then a special moment in the movie is occasionally I'll walk into a store or something else and Tiny Dancer will be on. And it brings me back to that moment in a really unique and special way. And occasionally somebody who has seen the movie, they might recognize me. And if it's playing at the same time, then it's like the two of us are sharing a love affair.
I want to be there for that. That's awesome.
That's cool.
It's so sweet. And it was really wonderful working on it. I mean, most of my personal experience of it, Jason, Kate, Patrick, everybody else, Mark Koslick, they could all sing. They were musically inclined. I was just loud. And, so I had to spend a lot of time just not being terribly uncomfortable. Cameron kept laughing at me saying, "No, man, it's cool. It's fine, dude. It really works. Just keep yelling it." And of course, then they adjusted some of it in post. Thank God. But, I had a great time doing that scene.
Well, when Cameron Crowe won the Academy Award for his screenplay for Almost Famous,
man,
how great was that?
So rad. That was just because the personal investment that he had in telling that story, and the time that he took to communicate that to everybody who worked on the movie for however many years, everybody in the production office, everybody in post-production, everybody on the set, the cast and crew. He had everybody invested in like a fundamental part of his life and his upbringing. And he did it with such generosity, because it wasn't like he was, dictatorial about, this character has to do this. And in fact, when we started rehearsing, Russell wasn't even fully written in the screenplay. He just wasn't sure about how far he wanted to go with his complexities. So to get to kind of discover that together it's just a one-of-a-kind experience. So to see him lauded in that way, it's just like sometimes you feel the universe gets it right. And that was one night that I definitely felt that.
Well, we feel that right now.
Yeah.
Rock on!
Rock on!
You're a golden god.
Billy, you are absolutely a golden god, and we're on drugs!
Yeah. No, we're not really.
one for the road.
100 of us. Good, I'm glad.
One for the road. Hold me closer, time to dance.
Scott, no,
okay,
don't do
Billy,
it.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling into Profiles.
We appreciate it.
This was just an amazing, amazing talk about Cameron Crowe's very best movie, Almost Famous, and we're grateful for your time. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you guys so much for looking me up. I appreciate it. I love talking about it.
You got it. Have a great one. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Very cool. Russell.
Yes, rock on.
Russell himself.
Calls in just in time for our #1 movie, Almost Famous.
And our Fast Five is, we've got to play the clip.
Oh, we still got to play the
I am a golden god!
That's why I have to play it, because I just love...
I'm on drugs.
I love that scene.
That's so great.
There's so many great moments in this movie.
September 13th, 2000 is when it came out. 4 Oscar nominations, 1 win for Cameron Crowe's screenplay. That must have been so great for him to win that Oscar. It's about him.
It's a semi-autobiographical movie.
I mean, it's him.
About his time as being a rock journalist.
His most personal film, and especially because the movie cost about $60 million to make. And worldwide box office was $47 million. So it did not do well. But the critics loved it. It made a lot of top 10 lists that year. And of course, the Oscars loved it. This is a charming, funny, deeply heartfelt film. There's a lot of magic to this movie. Almost Famous. It's a special movie, isn't it?
Yeah, and it feels like his masterpiece because it's based so closely on his life. And after the success of Jerry Maguire, he was allowed to make this passion project. And it is my favorite of his movies so far. I love the fact that he showed this to Billy Wilder. And Billy said, it's a wonderful picture. I love the kid and I love that girl. And then Cameron went and called up Kate Hudson and said, Billy Wilder said this. She apparently screamed so loud. He says he still can hear the scream in his ears because she was so excited. Kate Hudson is so special in this movie. Her breakthrough role is Penny Lane.
Nominated. Penny Lane, another Beatles reference for you, right on.
There you go.
And she was nominated for it, as was Frances McDormand.
Yeah,
as
she's
the mother.
brilliant.
She is hilarious.
I mean, it's a coming-of-age story all about, the first time you fall in love, becoming a man, living away from your parents, and losing your virginity, coming face to face with death or the possibility of death, and sadness and depression and drugs.
One more Beatles reference for the road here. Rolling Stone, Peter Travers, in his review back in 2000 says, not since A Hard Day's Night, yay, has a movie caught the thrummy exuberance of going where the music takes you.
And did you know that those records in the movie actually belong to Cameron Crowe?
That is not surprising.
And the handwriting at the start.
That was him.
That's him. Yeah.
That is very cool.
That's very cool.
Patrick Fugit, he grew 3 inches during the making of this movie. Over 92 days, he grew 3 inches.
Wow.
And his voice broke while he was making the movie. Can you imagine, of all the problems to have while making a movie?
You're growing up too fast.
Stop growing up. At one point, I thought it was Billy who actually had to wear, platform shoes
that's right.
so that they would still look like the height.
And, the cast is brilliant. You mentioned some of them. Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Should have been nominated.
Should have been nominated. He only did a couple of days on set for his small role, but he makes such an impact. He apparently had the flu the entire time, but you can't even tell because he's so brilliant.
Well, over 50 songs were used in this movie. The budget alone for music was $3.5 million. Usually the budget for music in a film was about $1.5 million. And Michael Kay, longtime devoted profiler, had this to say about Almost Famous: being as passionate of a music fan as I am a film geek,
that's cool.
Almost Famous just hits all the right notes for me. It sits right alongside the classics in the subgenre of movies about music, including This Is Spinal Tap, School of Rock, and yes, A Hard Day's Night. Cameron Crowe throws everything he's got into this movie. It's packed with great comedy, a killer soundtrack, and a big heart. Now, every time I listen to Elton John's Tiny Dancer, I can't help but sing along because of that iconic
Me
scene.
too. Maggie Ozin says on YouTube, I adore Almost Famous so much, I plan on getting an It's All Happening tattoo. That's so cool. And Camille Howard says, Almost Famous makes me feel alive. To use a cliche, it's a story made for anyone who's ever felt like an outsider. With a tremendous supporting cast, inventive story, and a wonderful atmosphere, Crowe's semi-autobiography, you know what I mean, is a beautiful story of finding the people who make you feel at home. If I ever need to pick me up, this is the movie I turn to.
Well, that is an amazing show. What a great interview with Billy Crudup. That was fantastic. Cool? Before we go, just let's hit the business angles once again. Make sure you go to iTunes. Really important. Subscribe to Profiles. Rate and review us. Even if you've already done it, rate and review us again. These ratings and reviews are really what help us stay alive. Go to our YouTube. Subscribe to it's youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network so you can watch Malone and Mantz. Make sure you share Profiles with everyone, and make sure you have them share too. Go to our Facebook page, Profiles with Malone and Mantz. Join in on the fun, weigh in on the brackets. Tell us what you love about these movies. We will and do read your comments on the air. Follow us on Twitter at Alicia Malone, at Movie Mantz, at Alicia Malone.
It's all in the repetition.
At Movie Mantz. One more time. At Alicia Malone, at Movie Mantz.
Yeah.
It is so great to have Alicia Malone back with me because, Alicia, you complete me.
Oh, you're sweet.
Yes.
High five.
Here we go. Recounting our Fast Five. Number 5, Vanilla Sky. Number 4, Singles. Number 3, Say Anything. Number 2, Jerry Maguire. Number 1, Almost Famous.
The book has been closed. And we'll let you know on our Facebook page who we're going to tackle next. We've been chatting about some options. So many great people. We always enjoy when you guys suggest people, so keep that coming. Until next time. Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.